The Way of Humility. When your own advice runs out. Jarmo Palamaki. The border of King Eternal's kingdom was the kingdom of King Accuser. He envied King Eternal because his own kingdom was constantly torn apart by strife, hatred, and strife. He used every possible situation to smear King Eternal and his subordinates. All the greater was the astonishment in the court of King Eternal when an ambassador arrived from King Accuser's house to ask for an audience with him on important matters. And it was also surprising that King Eternal so easily agreed to this after all. Nothing good could be expected from King Accuser. "Well, Accuser, how are you?" asked King Eternal at the beginning of the visit. "Nothing special," the Accuser replied. "I've walked around a bit and found that people everywhere are the same kind of scoundrels. Your kingdom is no exception." Well, Accuser, aren't you exaggerating a bit? Take, for example, my trusted subordinate, Mr. Faithful. Have you met another citizen who is so trustworthy and loyal at heart?" "Oh, he?" mocked King Accuser. "I don't think you know your subordinates deeper than the surface. He is only looking for gain, and he must have received plenty of it from you. He has become the richest man in your kingdom because of your generosity. But if you want to know what he's really like, stop sharing your goodness too much and let him taste a little bit of real life. You'll soon see how his faithfulness has been just a means to get rich. If he loses his wealth, he will curse you." "So you're proposing a bet," said King Eternal, "but what do you offer if you lose?" "I'm not going to let my servants suffer for nothing. According to my information, you could be in possession of something really valuable to him." "No matter how rumors spread," said King Accuser with a sneer, "but you're telling the truth. Some time ago, I learned that his 3 eldest children, who had been plundered years ago by bandits in my kingdom, and whom he thought had died years ago, are still alive. Of course, I took care of their storage myself. You can't leave such valuable prisoners in the care of such a bunch of trash. I offer these now grown children in return." "All right," said King Eternal. "I agree to the bet. You can temporarily take all the property from Mr. Faithful." After King Accuser left, King Eternal summoned his confidant, Mr. Humility. He had worked as a tutor for his son, even though he was still a young man himself. "I need you for a task that no one else can do," the king told Mr. Humility. "Mr. Faithful needs your help." "Why did you agree to King Accuser's suggestion in the first place?" asked Mr. Humility. "I have my own reasons," replied the king. "You'll understand them later. I trust Mr. Faithful," he continued. "With your help, he will pass this test." "But can't his own friends, Mr. Just, Mr. Experienced, and Mr. Learned, help him?" asked Humility. "There are probably no better helpers in the whole world." "Unfortunately not," replied the king. "He needs you specifically." Upon hearing this, Humility set off, glad to have had the opportunity to serve the king. In the meantime, King Accuser had not delayed for a moment, but had gathered a band of robbers to steal and destroy all of Mr. Faithful's possessions. When Mr. Humility finally came to the Mr. Faithful, he saw him lying on the ground, half bruised to death, surrounded by his friends Mr. Just, Mr. Experienced, and Mr. Learned. All his belongings had been plundered and his house burned. "How terrible," said Mr. Just to Mr. Faithful. "What on earth has given them the reason to do this to you?" "Unprecedented," said Mr. Experienced. "And why didn't the king's protective troops come to defend you?" "I'm speechless," said Mr. Learned. "I've lost everything," complained Mr. Faithful. "My life is no longer worth living. Why did King Eternal allow this to happen? Why does he treat me like the worst enemy?" Mr. Just thought for a moment. He was a judge by profession, in fact the chief judge of the King's Court of Appeal, so he knew that his words carried weight. "The king is not doing anything wrong," he said. "He takes care of justice in his kingdom. Everyone who follows his laws will eventually be fine, and if he has allowed this misfortune, as seems to have happened, he must have a good reason for it. He will only allow punishment if there is a reason for it. But isn't there a reason for that in each of us? All you have to do is think about where you have offended him and make amends. Then he will give you his goodness and gifts in abundance." Since Mr. Faithful did not seem to understand or accept the words of Mr. Just, Mr. Learned in turn continued the discussion. He was a university professor, and he thought that Mr. Faithful had to listen to reason. "How do you think you can be wiser than the king?" he asked. "Even I, perhaps the most learned in the whole kingdom, understand only a small part of his wisdom. But what I do know is that every wrongdoer will be punished, while the king and his army will protect those who obey the law from all calamities and care for their welfare. Evil always gets its reward in the end, and good is rewarded." Mr. Faithful still didn't feel convinced. On the contrary, he even seemed to forget his suffering. So angry was he at such talk. Mr. Experience noticed this and now intervened. During his long life, he had accumulated considerable experience and gained great trust among the people. "This is also my experience," he said, "and at the same time, all those who have followed life here in the kingdom at all. Our king is absolutely just, but also merciful. When you confess to your crime, he will restore your life." Eventually, Mr. Faithful could no longer control himself. "You are miserable comforters. You can't do anything but look for faults in me. That's not the question. I have been wronged. I wish I could defend myself before the king, but I have not been granted that. My destiny seems to be to die having lost everything. The only thing I can hold on to is that I have not denied or cursed my king." A heated debate ensued. Mr. Faithful's friends accused him of hardening his heart and unwillingness to confess his wrongdoing, while Mr. Faithful fiercely defended themselves against their accusations, asserting his innocence. In the end, everyone fell silent when they couldn't think of anything to say. Finally, Mr. Humility opened its mouth. He had been afraid to speak for himself, but now he saw that the conversation was at an impasse. "I've been following your speeches and haven't found anything that could have helped Mr. Faithful," he said. "I cannot agree with what you have said, and I cannot start on the same basis. That which is filled with my heart does not come from human wisdom or experience, but from the king himself. I have had the opportunity to spend time with him, and even now I experience him and his influence." "How can you doubt the goodness of the king? How can you place yourself as his judge?" he asked Mr. Faithful. "Do you think you can understand his ways of working, or act as his teacher and counselor? Is he helping us just to get a favor in return? No, what he does is an expression of his goodness, even if we can seldom understand it. When our understanding ends, our task is to shut our mouths and trust him. Who is our king's equal?" Mr. Humility continued. "What other kingdom can you compare to his kingdom? Can you compare the strength of his armies? Who else could rule like him? He is above all, and yet his desire is to show his friendship, goodness, and mercy to anyone who needs it. Even now I feel the power of his presence, and I see his splendor arrive by the road that leads here." Others also noticed the approaching procession. At the head walked King Eternal himself, accompanied by his most trusted servants and warlords. He came directly to Mr. Faithful, lying on the ground, looked at him sympathetically for a moment, and then began to rebuke him. "You wanted to defend yourself in front of me," he said to Mr. Faithful. "Here I am. Do you still want to hold on to your own perceptions, expectations, and demands? Or do you want to understand my thoughts and ways of working? Do you claim to understand how I've established my kingdom? Were you my right hand when I built its foundations and drove out its enemies? Were you my counselor when I organized its administration, gathered its military forces, and established its borders? Did you give me the Constitution or did you write the legislation? Do you understand my state policy? Or can you teach me how to defeat the enemies of my kingdom?" "No, my lord, I have no idea about these wonderful things," replied the faithful in shame. "I was blinded by my own problems. That's why I withdraw all my speeches. I don't have any questions anymore. After all, I've had the chance to meet you. You are the answer to everything." "And you three," continued the king angrily, turning to the just, the learned, and the experienced, "how could you limit and distort your understanding of my ways of doing things by limiting them to your own experiences and perceptions? How did you not realize that I can only be understood by a humble heart that has come to know me? You have interpreted me based on your own understanding and therefore spoken of me wrongly." "Forgive them, my lord," pleaded Mr. Faithful, distressed for his friends when he saw the king's anger. Be that as it may, I don't count it as an excuse for them, replied the king, with a smile on Mr. Faithful. Not that they deserved it, but for the sake of the friendship I have made with you today, I will act on your request. From then on, Mr. Faithful was known as the king's friend. Needless to say, the king returned to the faithful all of his property and family, including his 3 eldest children who were prisoners in an enemy country. Now I understand what you meant when you said you had your own reasons, Mr. Humility said to the king on one occasion when they were on their way to Mr. Faithful. You miss friends, and without this experience, Mr. Faithful would never have come to know you as a friend. Neither do you, replied the king. You prepared his heart. True friendship with me was only possible after he had gotten to know you. That's how it always is, the king continued to Mr. Humility. When you run out of advice from yourself and your friends, it's the right time to get to know you. And where you are received, I will also come.